Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to start the next topic, that is conditionals. As you can see, the name of this term is conditionals, in which we are going to have two clauses. First one will be if clause and the second one will be main clause. As you can see that we have got two clauses under the topic of conditionals. First one is the if clause and second one is the main clause. First thing which we need to learn about the conditionals is it is not necessary that we must have to put if clause first and main clause next. Sometimes we can use main clause first and if clause next, but the rules will remain the same. If we are using present tense in if clause and we are using future tense in main clause, the rules will remain the same. Either we are going to change the positioning of the clauses or not. Second thing which we need to learn, that why do we need to learn the conditionals? As you can see that these are two clauses, it shows the cause and effect. If is a cause and main shows the effect of this one. So now let's see how many types of conditionals do we have. First one is first conditional. What are the rules of first conditionals? I have told you that we need to have two clauses in each type of condition. In first type of conditional, we need to use simple present tense, and in main clause we use future tense. We can also call it future simple or maybe future indefinite tense. Or we can use can or may also. Now let's look at the example of this one. I have told you that in if clause we need to use simple present tense, and what are the rules of simple present tense? We need to use first form of verb, first form of the action verb, and we do not use any helping verb in this sentence. For example, if I write, if I study hard, I shall pass the exam. Now you can see that it is showing the cause. If I study hard, what will be the effect of it? I shall pass the exam. If I study shows that this is first form of verb and we are using present tense in if clause. And in main clause, we are using I shall pass the exam. Shall plus first form of verb shows that this is future simple tense. This is what we call first conditional, in which we talk about something which can happen in present or which can happen in future as well. So this is the scenario where we talk about the possibilities. There we use the first conditional. Now let's talk about the second type of conditional. Again, in this one, we need to have two clauses. First clause will be if clause and second clause will be main clause. Or we can also call it this way, that the first clause will be main clause and second clause will be if clause. What are the rules of it? We will be using past simple tense, and in main clause we will be using would, could or might. So as I've told you before that we need to have two clauses, if clause and main clause. Sometimes we can have main clause first and if clause next. But in second conditional, we will always use simple past tense in if clause and we will be using would, could or might in main clause. Now let's have the example of second conditional. If I studied hard, I would pass the exam. Now, what is second conditional? It basically shows about something which might not happen, in which we are talking about something about which we wish for, but it does not happen either in present, past or future. So as you can see that this is the if clause. If I studied hard. Studied is the second form of verb of study, and would pass, with would I am using first form of verb. It shows that this is second conditional. If I studied hard, it shows some possibility, or if it shows some kind of thing about which I am wishing for, that it might had happened in the past, then this kind of result I would be having in future. So this is something which might not happen in the present or past or in future. So which shows the possibility of it. Now let's talk about the third type of conditional. Okay, so the third conditional, now we need to know the rules of this one, that which tense do we supposed to use in if clause and which tense do we supposed to use in main clause. In if clause, we will be using past perfect tense, while in main clause, we will be using would, could, might, plus have, plus third form of verb. Okay, so as you can see that in if clause we will be using past perfect tense, and what are the rules of past perfect tense? We always use had plus third form of verb in past perfect tense, that we will be using in if clause, and in main clause we will be using would have, could have, might have, plus third form of the action verb. Now let's have the example of this sentence. If you had earned more money, you would have bought that house. Now you can see that again we have got two clauses. If you had earned more money, you would have bought that house. Most of the times we use third conditional when we try to criticize about something or we regret about something. So as you can see that in this sentence, the person is showing somehow some regret that if you had earned more money, you would have bought that house. This is the if clause. We can put it on the second place as well. But if we would be putting it on the second place, how would we write it? You would have bought that house if you had earned more money. So let's conclude this topic. The first conditional, where we will be having some possibility that it might happen in the present or it might happen in the future. While in second conditional, we talk about the things which do not happen in the present or in the future or in the past as well. And in third conditional, when we try to criticize something or someone, or we are showing some kind of regret. And there will be a very minor difference between the rules of all three conditionals. In first one, we will be using simple present tense in if clause, and we will be using simple future or future indefinite tense or can or may in main clause. And in second conditional, in if clause, we will be using simple past or past indefinite tense, while in main clause, we will be using would, could or might. And in third conditional, when we regret about something or we are criticizing about something which will not happen or which might not happen in the present, in the past or in the future, that will be the third conditional. And we will have to use had plus third form of verb, that is past perfect, in if clause, and in main clause we will be using would have, could have, might have plus third form of verb. That is all about the conditionals. I hope it is clear to you, but still if you have any more queries or questions, you can type a comment and you can post that in the comment box. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.